Talks between the Ethiopian government and rebel authorities in Tigray are continuing in South Africa. The talks are aimed at finding a peaceful resolution to the devastating two-year conflict in the north of the country. The negotiations, led by the African Union, began last Tuesday. It is the first formal dialogue to try to end a war that has killed many thousands of people, really, and unleashed a desperate humanitarian crisis in northern Ethiopia. South Africa had initially said the talks being held in Pretoria will run until Sunday. However, the AU now says that there is no date limitation that's been put on the talks. Some diplomats have speculated that the talks will likely continue until Tuesday. Since the negotiations began, intense fighting has continued unabated in Tigray. Ethiopian federal forces, backed by the Eritrean army and regional forces, have been waging artillery bombardments and airstrikes against rebel positions. And they've reportedly captured a string of towns from the rebels. Diplomatic efforts to try and bring the government and the rebels to the negotiating table gathered pace after combat resumed in late August, ending a 5-month truce that had allowed limited amounts of aid into Tigray. We speak now to Ethiopian Independent Researcher and journalist Mahlet Ayele, who joins us from The Hague in the Netherlands. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. So firstly, let me just get your opinion on the talks, the mediators. There've been various commentators who've expressed their opinion about the suitability of some and just the conditions under which the talks are taking place.
Thank you for having me again. I mean, this is the African Union led peace talk on Ethiopia that's happening in Pretoria. Although that's the very meaning of the African Union led peace talk has been kind of in question because of the various actors involved in this peace talk. I would like to remain positive or optimist in the result of this peace talk. We have seen if it really sticks to the original plan, to the African perspective, meaning inserting that African solutions to African problems, then I think it will bring a positive result. We have seen that it's not just an abstract what I'm saying. We have seen the various non-African actors who first said that they are interest groups, namely the US, the European Union, and international organizations. And then the US said it's playing a major role in this peace talk. It has said it through its UN ambassador, and then it has been releasing press briefings that seems also to be threatening a sovereign country. But this is not the first time that US has done this. It has done it also during the dispute between Ethiopia and the downstream countries related to the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam, where it appeared to be first an observer and then mediator. So this is not something new. Regardless, for two reasons, I insist as an African, not only as an Ethiopian, but as an African citizen, that this will bring a positive result. One, because as an African citizen, this is something that the African Union organization, supposedly the biggest Pan-African organization, taking matters into its own hands and trying to solve conflict. So I do hope that it will bring a solution, that it will demonstrate that that institution is able to do this. But also, as an Ethiopian, what we have been facing for the past 2 years is painful, and it's in every interest of the Ethiopian people that this will come to an end. So I do remain really optimistic that regardless of the various things and non-African actors
Prime
involved
Minister,
still. Yeah, I do hope.
all right. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed voiced hope that the peace could be achieved without making any direct reference to the talks underway in Pretoria. But he said that they are trying to convince the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front to respect the law of the land, to respect the constitution, he said, and act as one state in Ethiopia. But what should the government itself commit to in turn?
I think I'm not speaking for the government, but from what we have seen so far, from all the various of events that have happened, which is nearly, by the way, in over 2 days, this conflict since it started, it will be 2 years, and it started when TPLF actually attacked. It's a premeditated attack. It's not my word. It's a TPLF official who said this few days after the attack happened, after November 4 attack. So in 2020, now the Ethiopian government has showed already its concessions that whatever happens, it should be within the framework of the constitution of the Ethiopian government. And I mean, take any country who would really sit with a rebel group or with an armed group, like we call them whatever you want, but who will sit with a group, with an armed group that attacked its national defense force? None of them, those people who are trying to interfere, will do that. And also it's the responsibility of the Ethiopian government to keep sovereign territory and to protect also the peace and security of the country, the stability of the country. It's the Ethiopian government responsibility, and that includes the people of Tigray as well. So it has showed that regardless of what's happening, that they would like to achieve peace, and they are sitting now at the negotiation table under, the African Union led peace envoy led by Olusegun Obasanjo. And I think it had taken a major steps in terms of concessions in terms of what it is supposed to do. I think it has went extra mile to keep its people, to keep that peace and security of the people. That includes, I repeat again, the people of Tigray.
Mahlet, it's a pity we've run out of time, because I did want to point out that there have been reports endorsed by the UN of human rights abuses on both sides. I would have loved to talk a little bit more about that. Thank you very much for your time, though.